next recipe is going to be a simple cucumber salad. It only has 4 ingredients plus some sea salt, so I guess 5 ingredients. But we're going to start with a cucumber, and I'm going to go ahead and peel this. You don't have to peel it, but I like the way the cucumber breaks down when it doesn't have the peeling on it. It gets really soft and pliable. Okay, so we're just going to get this peeling off, then we're going to slice it really thin. If you have a mandolin, which is a slicer, you're welcome to use that, or you can just use a knife. When I'm making a large quantity, I'll tend to use the mandolin just because it goes so much quicker. Okay, so I'm just going to chop the ends off, and then I'm just going to slice it real thin. Again, like I talked about last week and the week before, if you keep your knife point down, if you hold the blade with your thumb and forefinger and hold the handle with your last 2 fingers, it just makes it easier to control the knife. I like to slice them thin because of the way they break down. You may like them crunchier, and if that's the case, slice them a little bit thicker. This will last in the fridge for, well, if you don't eat it, it will last for 4 or 5 days. The thicker the slices, the crunchier it will remain, because even the onion will break down some. Okay, so I'm just going to put all of these in a bowl. There's a lot of water in cucumber, so it kind of makes its own sauce. We're going to put very little dressing on it, and it will become very liquidy after it sits for a while. Next, we're going to do an onion. Everyone asks me what the secret is to not crying with onions, and the only thing that I have found is wearing contacts. I was training some people in my kitchen when I first opened, and we were doing an onion bread where we had to slice and dice many onions, 10 pounds of onions, and everyone was crying but 2 of us, and 2 of us wore contacts. That's the only thing I can think of, because onions don't bother me normally. We're just going to slice this real thin. Again, if you have a mandolin, it's a great way to get onions really thin. And we want to make these as thin as possible. Just going to keep slicing them. And this onion has really thin rings, so it's going to make a perfect salad. Sometimes when it gets to the end like that, if you slice it in half and turn it on its side, then you can slice it thin. And there we go. Okay, so then we just want to separate all of the rings. Again, even when I'm making food at home, I tend to wear gloves when I'm working with onions or bell peppers, anything that's going to make my skin smell like things that I eat. Some people like to sweat their onions, so they'll put the onions in a bowl first and put just a little bit of salt on them, and it brings some of the liquid out. You can do the same thing with your cucumbers. It will help bring the liquid out if you don't want as much liquid in your salad. That's just a personal preference. Some end pieces I'm going to put in the discard pile. Okay, so we're just going to mix these up a little bit. Okay, so our dressing consists of agave and apple cider vinegar. And again, you just make it for your taste. We're going to put just a half a teaspoon of salt in to start with. I'm going to pour 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and just a tablespoon, which is 1 big squirt of this, And again, I'm going to mix this with my hands just because it's easier. I kind of got my bowl full. Now this, you'll notice this bowl is full. If we let this sit for about an hour, it'll be about half full because of the water coming out of the onions and cucumbers. Onions are very good for the immune system, just like garlic is. A lot of people avoid onions because of the way it makes their breath smell. And a lot of times raw onions will tend to do that. But I find with this salad, for whatever reason, maybe it's using a Vidalia onions, so sweeter onions too. I find this salad, it doesn't give me onion breath as much because I will eat a lot. And you could add another cucumber to this if you wanted. This is a thick slice, so I'm going to make it a little bit thinner. And I'm just going to taste one of the cucumbers and see if the dressing is okay. It's a perfect amount. Even though you can see there's no dressing, it doesn't look like any dressing on it. Let's give it a little bit of time and it will be absolutely perfect for a salad. And then we can just take this, once it's broken down a little bit, probably let it sit for 30 minutes. And if you want to make it pretty, you can garnish it with some black sesame seeds. You could put some diced red bell peppers on it if you wanted to. And there you have a little cucumber salad. And again, this has very few calories in it, and yet it's very filling. If you're wanting a snack in the afternoon, this is a great thing to eat because you're not going to add calories, but you're going to get nutrients and you're going to satisfy your hunger. So it's just a good way to have this snack available. I eat this as a meal sometimes. I'll just eat a bowl probably close to that size. I can eat the whole thing for a meal and it is very satisfying. So again, here's a couple of easy ideas for you that you can do. You don't need fancy equipment. This soup can be made in a regular blender if you have one. You just have to cut the veggies a little bit smaller, skin the apple, and it'll give you an opportunity to add some more fresh living foods into your diet. So I encourage you to keep on keeping on. Make this week a better week than last week, and celebrate the small things in life. You know, if you made it through today and you did well, celebrate. If you didn't do so well as you'd like to think you did, find one thing you did well today. You know, you got out of bed, you had a good attitude. Celebrate yourself today. And we'll be back next week helping you make better choices today so tomorrow can be your best so you can live in optimum health.